Dwight D. Eisenhower and Atoms for Peace.
The Korean War began in the mid-1950s. After a career of military service and great success in World War II, the strategic mind of President Dwight D. Eisenhower proposed the idea to use atomic proliferation to help end the Korean War and the fear of nuclear weapons which had spread throughout America and the whole world. On December 8, 1953, he gave a speech in front of the General Assembly of the United Nations, which came to be known as his Atoms for Peace speech. The speech made very clear his opinion that atomic bombs could be used for good. He shaped American history forever.
One day, when President Eisenhower was thinking about how to end the Cold War, he was struck with an idea on how to end the Cold War. It all became so clear. He thought the United States should give knowledge of atomic power to everyone so that no one would be scared of it.
Members of the General Assembly. When Secretary General Hammarskjöld's invitation to address this General Assembly reached me in Bermuda, I was just beginning a series of conferences with the Prime Ministers and Foreign Ministers of Great Britain and of France. Our subject was some of the problems that beset our world. During the remainder of the Bermuda Conference, I had constantly in mind that ahead of me lay a great honor. That honor is mine today, as I stand here privileged to address the General Assembly of the United Nations. At the same time that I appreciate the distinction of addressing you, I have a sense of exhilaration as I look upon this assembly.
As he states, the fearful atomic dilemma needed to be sorted out as soon as possible. He stated that we should not be afraid of nuclear energy, but accept that it was here to stay. Suppose the United States and the Soviets were each turned over to the United Nations for peaceful kilograms of fissile material, Eisenhower stated. In other words, he wanted the military to use their stockpiles of weapons for good uses too. He wanted, "I wish my country to be the first to recognize by official action what you have said at this conference has accomplished."
Eisenhower wanted to introduce his idea not in a forceful way, as he said the language of atomic warfare would soon be the most common military language. Although America had a lead on the rest of the world in nuclear technology, Eisenhower knew that the lead would not last long because Great Britain and France were both hard at work on atomic research. The spreading of peaceful nuclear technology throughout the world was not without its risks because they could change the peace to unpeaceful or bad activity.
According to Dwight D. Eisenhower in the book Atoms for Peace, as knowledge about nuclear technology spread, the possibility also increased that it would be used for military purposes. As power dotted the world, dangers increased that their products would be diverted to military uses. Thus, Atoms for Peace threatened to lead to a greater proliferation and continue to spread of nuclear weapons throughout the world. Eisenhower recognized these dangers, but believed the risks were acceptable and that the potential benefits justified them.
In a question-and-answer session, Eisenhower explained what the intent of his speech was. He stated, "First, let me tell you what it is not. It is not a disarmament plan for the conventional or atomic weapons. It is not a plan for international control of atomic energy. It is not a plan for the exchange by our country with Russia or any other country of atomic secrets. It is not a plan for pooling stocks of weapons. Instead, it is a small beginning but a revolutionary one, designed to break the deadlock of not being able to get together on any basis to see what can be done about this terrible danger to the whole world. It was never thought of as a weapon during the Cold War." Eisenhower felt obligated to warn the American people of this new reality.
Finally, if there is to be advanced any proposal designed to ease, even by the smallest measure, the tensions of today's world, what more appropriate audience could there be than the members of the General Assembly of the United Nations? I feel impelled to speak today in a language that, in a sense, is new. One which I, who have spent so much of my life in the military profession, would have preferred never to use. That new language is the language of atomic warfare. The atomic age has moved forward at such a pace that every citizen of the world should have some comprehension, at least in comparative terms, of the extent of this development.
Eisenhower's speech had several objectives: strengthening the hopes for peace, raising living standards throughout the world, integrating atomic energy into the economic systems of all peace-loving countries, and improving health and well-being. He stated, "Before all else, we seek, upon our common labor as a nation, the blessing of Almighty God."
The history of Eisenhower's Atoms for Peace speech is not yet finished. In the early years following his speech, there was a great deal of optimism. A 1957 Saturday Evening Post article stated that the atomic age already is here, and Americans have done more than any other people to hasten its advance. The incalculable billions which Americans have poured into nuclear developments are beginning to pay off in peaceful uses as well as weapons. President Eisenhower is reported to have told friends in 1955 that he believed his Atoms for Peace program might eventually be considered the outstanding accomplishment of his administration. Perhaps he was right.
About 10 years after the speech, however, the Bulletin for Atomic Scientists reported that Eisenhower's 1953 proposal generated a host of national, bilateral, regional, and international programs for the atomic power, including the International Atomic Energy Agency, organized in 1957. The early hopes for the IAEA that it would encourage the expansion of peaceful uses of atomic energy without expanding the number of countries producing atomic weapons. They have been disappointed.
A 50-year perspective had a mixed message, saying that more and better dialogue and engagement with the public about nuclear technologies and about security and civilian benefits and risks, including radiological terrorism, will help clarify the actual versus the perceived risks. But the problem will not be resolved until the public has greater trust that the nuclear industry and the government regulatory procedures are given safety and security greater weight in the decisions.
New language is the language of atomic warfare. The atomic age has moved forward at such a pace that every citizen of the world should have some comprehension, at least in comparative terms, of the extent of this development, of the utmost significance to every one of us. Clearly, if the peoples of the world are to conduct an intelligent search for peace, they must be armed with the significant facts of today's existence. My recital of atomic danger and power is necessarily stated in United States terms, for these are the only incontrovertible facts that I know. I need hardly point out to this assembly, however, that this
Eisenhower's Atoms for Peace speech has proven to be an important topic that still impacts us today. He showed great courage and bravery because his idea was risky and dangerous. Dwight D. Eisenhower was trying to make atomic energy become a friendly thing to the public. He was trying to reduce the fear in the public and between countries. The success of his speech is still being worked out today, but there is no doubt that he took a stand in history.